anyway, I'm a practitioner of meditation now for several decades. And I've been working in the mental health field for also a couple of decades. And the times that we're living in, the two seems to merge real nicely together. And so it's two of my passion, the work that I do and how I take care of myself is what I'm going to be sharing with you this evening. Some tips and also just some of my own, journey along the way, finding my way to balance. And so as we know, times are getting more and more difficult for us to manage safely our stress and anxiety. And a lot of fear and worry drive these feelings, and it makes it really difficult for us to manage them. And so my hope this evening is to shed some light on this topic by addressing stress versus distress, the impact of distress on the brain, how to recognize when you're anxious and stressed, and again, offer some tips for managing, and how to use meditation to heal the brain. I'll be introducing a meditation that I've been doing now for the past close to 30 years, and it's called Heartfulness meditation. And then I'll also guide you through a session, and we'll also do a body relaxation. And then along the way, there'll be periods for introspection. And if it's okay with you guys, we can wait till the end where we'll take questions. I'm going to have you focus a little on a few questions. And if you have pen and paper, you could jot your answers down. Or if not, you can just honestly do an honest reflection. You don't have to share it. However, when we go in our breakout groups, you can share it there if you feel safe and you feel inclined to do so. So the first question is, do you currently understand what are your major stressors? What are the things that really cause you worry and fear? So just think about that for a little and maybe come up with one or two things that are your major stressors. Then I want you to consider, what is your internal conversation about these things? Maybe jot down a few words here. What goes through my mind when I'm confronted with these stressors? And then, do I notice how I hold this stress in my body? So is it that my shoulders are tight? My stomach is in knots? Is it that I tend to fight with my close relationships? How does it impact me? Do I get headaches? Does it prevent me from sleeping? How are you impacted? Then lastly, we're going to scale your stress level currently. So if you take your life today, and from a scale of 0, no stress, 10, extremely stressed, give yourself a number. So how you're feeling in this moment, in this very moment, as you reflect on the things that are causing you stress, what number would you give it? So again, we're going to come back to this later on in the program. So if you want to put that aside, and let me just tell you a little bit of a little more of how I got here and got into the world of mental health and the world of in meditation to as a part of my self-care. So back in, I'd say my early to mid 30s, I had my first onset of anxiety symptoms, but at the time I didn't know it was anxiety, because back then, if you remember, date myself here. That was like 30 plus years ago, right? And so back then, if you remember, there wasn't a lot of conversation about our mental health. In fact, the conversation that was there was usually negative. And so there wasn't really any place for me to go to figure that out. And the only thing I remember that closely came to discussing or talking about mental health was, I remember, older people being referred to as having bad nerves. And they'll go to the doctor and the doctor will give them Valium. And that was the end of it. But here I was in my early 30s. I wasn't old enough to have bad nerves, so I ruled that out. And I really didn't really consider that that was my problem, that I had bad nerves, or I was in the throes of developing bad nerves. So I started my own research, which really led me to a therapist's office. And from there, having to embrace a different lifestyle, learning about myself, learning about my stressors, kind of pondering some of those questions that I just posed earlier. And then from there, it led me into dietary changes. It led me to understand how this was impacting me physically, emotionally, and even relationally. And so my recovery was long. It took a lot of trial and errors of different things. And even today, my stress, I held it in my abdominal area. And even today, I'm way light years ahead of where I was, but even today, it's still not completely healed, right? There's so much damage done of holding the stress in my stomach that it has taken this many years to get to where I am. If some of you remember me from years ago, you remember how rail thin I was, not knowing what it was. But anyway, and that's the degree and that's the level and the destructiveness of distress on our system. Let's look a little at the difference between stress and anxiety. Let's see if we can learn a little bit about that. So stress is the body's response to physical, mental, and emotional pressure. And so when we are stressed, our blood pressure is going to rise, our heart rate is going to increase, and the body is going to release blood sugar to help us to fight off whatever danger that we tend to perceive in the moment. And so this usually leads us to this feeling of stress usually leads us to feeling frustrated, anxious, angry, and also depressed at times. Now, acute stress is that sudden, it's short-term, it's intense, and it usually occurs after a traumatic event. And this can last for up to about a month. So sometimes when we have a loss, like say through death, that's an acute stress. Now, an episodic acute stress, those are those stressors that it's like you're being bombarded by one event after the next. Once you get through one event, then another one hits you. So you feel like you're always putting out fires. You're always rushing. You're running late. You're disorganized. And then there's the chronic stress. That's more long-term, right? And those distressors are the stuff like COVID, right? It's long-term. We're in year 2 of this? There's financial strain, there's illnesses. So now that becomes a chronic distress in our life. And then anxiety, of course, is that gradual, persistent worry and fear that we develop. as the end result of the stress, then here comes the anxiety. And then panic is the extreme of the anxiety, which is sudden. The onset can be sudden. It's typically very overwhelming, and it's frightening. And the panic attacks, you hear people talk about panic attack all the time. Those are like pretty severe for some people, and it's hard sometimes to bring yourself back when it goes to that extreme. Extremely frightening. So what are some of the symptoms of anxiety? Of course, we'll identify already worry and fear. And then there's the distress, the heart racing, thoughts racing, the discomfort in your chest. Some people describe it as an elephant on the chest. There's a shortness of breath. There's trembling, shaking. Okay, so we talk a little bit about stress, and then there's distress, right? So a lot of times we hear the word stress, and for most of us, we think stress is bad. But stress is really a normal response for our system. It's when we stay in that prolonged stressful state that it becomes bad for our health. Right? So our brains are designed to respond naturally to stress. And again, it's the prolonged stressor on the brain that becomes problematic. And those we call distress. So the impact to our system, in the limbic brain, there's this little almond-sized gland called the amygdala. And when we are in a state of fear or worry, that almond-sized gland enlarges. And it's really there as a signal that the body can produce blood sugar and release so that we can now fight off this threat. And then when the threat passes, then a healthy brain, it will return to that baseline size. But for many of us, this threat, this signal, it remains enlarged far longer than it's natural. And it begins to change our brain chemistry and disrupt our health. So if you imagine your car alarm staying engaged far longer than after the threat is gone. So that's what's happening inside of our system, is they revved up and hyped up, even though the stressor is gone. And that's where the brain, they talk about neuroplasticity. So the brain becomes, the chemistry of the brain changes. And so you're just very impulsive, very irritable, high alert all the time. Everything just seems like danger. And it affects the people around you. I don't know what it's doing to your own physical system. So now let's talk a little bit about some tips. And one of the major tips, one of the first tips I like to point you to, is the need to become more aware of your bodies, right? More in touch with what are the signals, what are the sensations that I'm feeling inside my body? Because oftentimes those signals are going on, but we're so outside of our bodies that we are not even in touch with the fact that, okay, my stomach just tightened, and maybe what I need to do is just to focus and to slow my breathing down and to intentionally allow my abdominal muscles to relax. So let's do a little exercise real quickly. And it's a body awareness exercise where we're just going to do a little bit of a scan. So again, I'm going to ask you to, okay, so I take it that most of you are seated. So now let's begin by just becoming aware of ourselves. And so when we do this, we're really changing interaction with the environment and how our mind perceives it. So now gently close your eyes and become aware of the room or the space in which you are. As Raymond was in his car, so just be aware of where you are in space and time, and become aware of any sound around you. Be aware of my voice. Become aware of your body. Notice your breath. Notice your back against the chair. Notice the contact of your feet on the ground. Now gently open your eyes and just see how you feel. And this is a good exercise just to ground you. It's like a quick awareness check. If you find that you're having racing thoughts, you're just not present, it just brings you back to yourself and back to the time and space that you're in. And just by becoming aware of your feelings, you can change the dynamic of any situation you're in. Some other tips that you can use when you become dysregulated is deep breathing. And these are breaths that you take fully all the way. Typically, when we become anxious, the breathing is shallow. And so that is not beneficial, because if we're only breathing, and most of us really don't usually take full deep breaths. And that's why exercise, usually after a nice vigorous exercise, you always feel so much better, because when you're exercising your muscles so vigorously, you really have to breathe deeply. So let's just take a nice deep breath in, where when you breathe in, feel your abdominal muscles expand and your chest rise. So let me correct that. When you breathe in, your chest will rise, and when you exhale, your abdominal muscles will expand. And that's another way that you could use to calm yourself down. You take enough of those breaths. When you find yourself in a stressful situation, it can really help to bring you present and begin to calm your nervous system. Another tip is to focus on what you can control, right? Usually, we're so worried about things that are way out of our control, and that increases the worry. It increases the fear. But if you could just bring it back to what is it that I can control in this moment, then that's going to start to decrease and give you a sense of control around your environment. Like this COVID, right? We can't control a lot of what's happening out there. But what we can control is, am I going to wear my mask? Am I going to do and follow the guidelines as recommended? Those are the things that I can personally control, but I can't control what my neighbor is doing. So therefore, if I'm focusing on my neighbor, it's going to increase my stress. If I'm focusing on what I can control, it's going to help to decrease my stress. And again, know what your triggers are. What am I worried about? What is causing me this fear? And how is it impacting me? How am I feeling it in my body? Where in my body is it showing up? And then, of course, with every trigger, there usually comes a thought, and the thought is usually negative, right? So in the self-assessment, I ask you to kind of notice your thoughts about the stressors, the internal conversation. And if you go back and look at that carefully, you may see that you've been using negative thoughts, which feeds the trigger. So the thing to do here is to reframe the negative thoughts and then begin to change your behavior, change the action. Another tip is you can use essential oils. Lavender oil is excellent for calming the nervous system. And then there's a technique called the 3-3-3. So you can begin to identify. So if you're in a very anxious, highly stressed situation, you feel like you're having this outer body experience, you can begin to focus on identify 3 things in your environment, whether, I'm seeing a chair, I'm seeing a plant, I'm seeing a computer screen. Then from there, you can listen for 3 sounds, right? I'm hearing the background sound. I'm hearing the sound of my air conditioner, and I'm hearing the sound of an air purifier. So listen for the sound. And then number 3, the other 3 is to move 3 parts of your body, right? I could release my shoulders, I could roll my wrist, and I could stretch my legs down. And then number 3, the other 3 is to move 3 parts of your body, right? I could release my shoulders, I could roll my wrist, and I could stretch my legs. So that usually helps to ground you and bring you present. When we become anxious and stressed, we're usually out of our bodies. We're usually detached. So what we're needing to do is to bring ourselves back present. But these are some of the things that can help you to become present. Present. Then there's also Tai Chi, yoga, and meditation. You might not be able to use these in an emergency situation, but those could be part of your lifestyle, right? The same for exercise and dancing. Again, it's anything that you're going to be able to help you to breathe deeply. In the interest of time, I was going to show you how to do that, but I'm going to bypass that one for now. But that's also another good one that, and if you're interested and we have time, we can talk about that later. I can show that. And guys, we have to prioritize our sleep. We go to work for 8 hours, and we know we have to be on the job for 8 plus hours, but we really don't prioritize sleep. Many of us are functioning on 3-4 hours a night, and the average is 7 to 8 for really restorative sleep. And continue to find ways to reduce life stressors. So whatever it is that's stressing you out, if you're able to change it, plans to do so. And again, negative thoughts feed stress and anxiety. So we have to learn to recognize them, identify them, and reframe them. Essential oils and calming teas are helpful. Develop a hobby. Gardening is a wonderful hobby, to reduce stress and anxiety, and there are many more. And of course, the one that I use frequently or daily is a daily meditation practice. During my search to heal myself, I prayerfully searched, and I was able to find this meditation after many years of looking and searching. So about 30 years, almost 30 years ago, I was gifted this treasure of using the heart to regulate my life by learning how to meditate the heartfulness way. And so what is heartfulness meditation? It's a global organization, which is in about 200 countries, including our very own Jamaica. And Catherine, who you met earlier, is my counterpart there in Jamaica. So if this resonates with you, as I take you through the process of this introduction to meditation, I'll connect you with Catherine there so she can support you on the island. And it's offered, we offer these trainings free. And what's unique about heartfulness meditation is that it utilizes a energy which helps us to connect deeply within the inner silence. And when we immerse, feel refreshed, energized, peaceful, and focused. And the way I like to describe that energy is, you consider our solar system, and we have the sun's energy. And now many of us have solar panels on our homes. And so the energy that we use here is similar to the concept of the solar system. So what I mean by that is that in nature, this energy that we use in heartfulness meditation, it exists. It's like the sun that's there, it exists. And if you want to use that sun to power your house, then it's directed to the solar panels, and then the solar panels. So anyway, this yogic energy is, okay, all right. So that energy is directed to your hearts, and that's what helps you to go deeper into a meditation, be able to come out of it refreshed, energized, peaceful, and more focused. But what really is meditation? Meditation is defined as thinking about one thing continuously. And as you can see in our modern society, with all the distraction and worries, our minds tend to be stressed and fractured as we're anxiously thinking about so many things. And so meditation is the process of going from many thoughts to one thought. And in heartfulness, we use our mind to connect with our heart. Why the heart? Scientists are learning that the heart sends more impulses to the brain than the brain to the heart. And so these impulses serve to calm and rewire the anxious brain. Now, the mind processes information and makes calculation, while the heart's wisdom is deeper and more capable to guide us with its innate wisdom and refine, and to help us to refine those inner qualities that are already in us, qualities such as love and compassion. And so meditation is also defined as the process of going from thinking to feeling. And when we connect with the heart through meditation, a balance occurs, a balance of the mind and the heart, of the outer and the inner, the thinking and feeling. We move from doing to being. And with time, when we meditate on the heart, we develop into the finer aspects of the heart. We become naturally calmer, more peaceful, more loving and centered. And so stress and anxiety becomes a thing of the past. You know, we'll experience stress, but not prolonged stress. We'll experience anxiety, but not prolonged anxiety. And so those are some of the benefits. And these are some additional benefits. And again, you know, there's a whole lot more research that's being done on the impact of meditation on the brain. And what they're finding is that the gray matter of the brain within the frontal lobes become thicker. And this is the area associated with happiness and compassion. The amygdala, that little part that is the fear center, that's part of the limbic brain, that also returns to its normal size and taking us out of that fight or flight state. So as we slip into meditation, we go from beta, which is wakefulness, into alpha, which is that state of relaxation. And with time, as you learn to meditate deeper, you slip into delta state, which is associated with deep sleep. So there are many times when we go into meditation and we feel like we just had a nap. But when you come out of it, you feel so rejuvenated, and you clearly, it wasn't a nap. It was just a really sweet, deep, meditative, restful place within yourself. Now, we're all familiar with the great Albert Einstein. So he says, I think 99 times and find nothing. And I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me. So just reflect on that. So now we're going to do the practical part of this. I'm now going to guide you through a body relaxation for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And then I'll guide you into a silent meditation, and we'll meditate for about 15 minutes. And at this point, I'm going to ask you to be sure that your cell phones are switched off. And it's really important that we mute our microphones. This way we can just be relaxed and not be disturbed by any external distractions. So now let's have you seated upright if you're not already seated up. And be sure that you have a place to rest your back. And so you're upright. Your feet can either be on the ground. You could cross at the ankles. And your hands, you could interlace your fingers in your lap. Or you could lay your palms down on your leg or up, whichever is most comfortable. And for those of you who are flexible, if you want to sit cross-legged, you can do so. Or if you just want to sit naturally as you would in a chair with your legs on the ground, by all means, take a posture that feels natural and that feels comfortable for your body. So now I'm going to have you gently close your eyes, begin to notice your breath, become aware of your heart. When you're ready, shift your awareness to your feet that's connected with the earth. Feel the connection with the earth. Now imagine that there's energy radiating from the earth into the soles of your feet, which is helping your body to relax. Relax your feet, relax your toes, your ankles, to begin to relax the lower legs all the way up to the knees. These are just suggestions you're making to yourself. And at the same time, you're consciously allowing the muscles in those areas to loosen and relax. Energy moves into your thighs. Thighs are now relaxed. Take a deep breath in, let go, and relax. Relax your hips, your lower back, and your abdomen. As the energy washes up your back, from your lower back up, all the way up to your shoulders. Relax. Allow your shoulders to drop as you release the tension there. Relax your upper arms. Your forearms are now relaxed. Relax your hands and your fingers. Let go and relax. Bring your awareness to your chest. Relax your chest. As you begin to relax your neck, the back of the head is relaxed. Relax the top of the head. The energy washes down your face, starting with your forehead, over your softly closed eyes, down your cheeks, all the way into your jaws. The lips are slightly apart, deeply relaxing the jaws. Now scan your body. If there's any area that's still tense, allow the energy to move to that area and allow it to release and relax. Let go and relax. Now shift your awareness to your heart. You rest your mind on the heart. So the heart is a pillow. And you're connecting. And you're resting. Now I'll give you the cue to begin meditation, at which time you'll imagine that the source of who you are is already present in your heart. And it's there in the form of a light. And it's attracting your attention as you move towards and become absorbed in that light. There's no need for you to look for a light, but more so to allow your mind to relax and to become absorbed in your heart, within yourself. And when the meditation is over, when the 15 minutes are up, I'll let you know. Now please begin meditation. If the mind wanders, just gently return it to the heart. Take a few minutes before opening your eyes to note how you're feeling. Just observe what's going on within you. Notice your thoughts. Are they where they were before we started on this thinking about the things? Are your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts changed? When you're ready, slowly begin to open your eyes. Get a sense of where your attention was during the meditation. Any other observations before you started and now? Then also, I had asked you at the start for you to assess on a scale of 0 to 10 your stress level. So let's do so again now and see, where are you? Has the number changed or is it the same? Did it increase? Note that number. Again, 0, no stress. 10, extremely stressed and anxious. And I know we had planned to do a breakout and we started a little late due to, before we break then, there are a couple of things that while you're in those groups that you want to do is to maybe just share your experience, especially if this is your first time with meditation. And if it's not, still just kind of talk about your experiences there. What are some of your key takeaways? What can you implement going forward? And then we'll come back as a group and I'll answer questions.
Okay. And I think we're close to all being back. We are all back.
All right, very good. All right, so we're gonna just take turns, and from each group, I think Iona has to go, so I'm gonna ask her to share first, and then each person is gonna share your takeaway or your impression of this event that we just experienced.
Yes, just going through the for me, I was going through the meditation process. It was hard at first because my mind kept wandering to different things, different thoughts, and I have to make a conscious effort each time to get back. And sharing that in my work experience as a teacher, we have so many things going on. We have to be multitasking at all times. So it's like you have to train the mind to just focus on one thing at a time. And I have that to do. And I was saying that as teachers, know how much we carry emotionally, physically, and until we get into a different situation where we are doing something different from teaching or planning, and then we realize, wow, it seems as if I'm being lazy. I need to be doing something because your thoughts are going so, like 80 miles per hour. And as I was saying, that for you to take charge of the whole meditation thing, you have to practice. It has to become a practice. And we have to make conscious choices for implementation. That's not it.
Yeah, thank you. You're so right. It has to be a part of your practice. You know, we take a bath every day, and we feel refreshed after a bath. So when we connect with ourselves, the internal silence within, it has to be a daily connect. It can't just be, once a week thing, because then the buildup, it's going to be that buildup of the stressors, just as, the buildup of dirt on your physical body, your mind attract all these negativity that you take into your system. So on a daily basis, if you're attuning yourself and connecting, then you're also cleansing your internal system and bringing yourself back into balance. Great. Anybody else?
Okay. Bye.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
Yes. Claudia, what I'm saying, I have experience with meditation. And I must say that my experience with this particular meditation that you took us through, I think it's better than the one I've been in for a couple of weeks now, and I truly enjoy it, and I'm beginning to understand more that you really need to focus on when you're meditating. You need to your mind tend to wander, so it's a matter you have to practice to come back to where you're supposed to be. But I truly enjoy it, and I hope we can repeat this experience somewhere further down the road.
Yeah, man.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it was well done.
You're very welcome. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The mind, what you're doing is you're training your mind, right? And so we have a saying in Heartfulness that, you know, we become slaves to our minds. So wherever the mind goes, you know, it takes us into depression, we go into depression. So we become slaves to the mind. So what we're doing here is to really master the mind.
Definitely.
Okay.
Hey, big brother.
I am on. Well, Claudia, I must tell you the session was fantastic. But I must confess, I have never done meditation before. I don't know the art of meditation. So what I have to do is to get closer to you so you can train me how to do meditation, because let me tell you what happened to me. I tried focusing on that light. I never did understand the totality of the light, what you refer to as the light. But I met one lovely young lady named Patrice. She's in the group. And she explained the light to me. And maybe if I didn't understand the light before I went into the meditation, I would meditate on the light. I was really meditating on a light, just a light in my heart, and not the bigger picture of me being the light, the better me, the bigger me, the God in me, and so on. So now I understand it, I think I'm ready to meditate. But if I close my eyes and sit, not doing anything for 5 minutes, the next best thing is for me is sleep. I had to fight myself not to sleep and try to meditate on the light. So now I understand a little bit more about meditation. I need some coaching from you.
Listen, I didn't know Patrice was there because she's not on camera. You're in good hands. You're in good hands because Patrice is right there in Jamaica.
Yeah, I realize.
So is Catherine right there in Jamaica. So
Yeah.
Catherine and Patrice, this is my big brother, Oliver.
Yeah.
At one time, I thought he was my brother. But he still is my brother. So you guys exchange information. They're there to help you. And
No worries. I will try to get through to her, and if she will speak with me at the end of this so we can exchange contacts and we can hook up and she can train me.
Absolutely. They'll be happy to. Kathy, you're muted. You want to say something to Oliver?
I am muted. Oh. Hi, brother. Nice to meet you too.
Good to meet you.
So Oliver is in Ochi.
Okay, great. Right a yard.
Yes, man. I'm right here.
Yes.
And the distance doesn't matter. We could do this Timbuktu, and I mean,
I know that meditation is good. It has helped in a lot of different areas. And the areas you mentioned, definitely a lot of persons need. I do need help in a lot of those areas. It's a calm and so on. But on my own, just now, Patrick, I'm reporting for my group. Patrick was in my group, and Anton was in my group as well. Anton came in late. Patrick and I had similar experiences. He felt he had to fight to sleep. Yes. So now that we know a little bit more about meditation, we think we are going to start practicing meditation with with my new coach.
So all right. In the chat.
Oh, thank you, Patrice.
In the chat, our phone numbers were just entered. Patrice's, Kathy, phone number is there. But let me say something about the sleep. This particular type of meditation, remember I spoke about this energy that's used? It will induce a sleep-like effect. So you could have been feeling the effects of that, and it may feel like you're going off into sleep.
Yeah.
So when you're meditating, and especially if you're doing this type of meditation. If you find that you're going off into sleep, just allow it. Just go. Just go. Sleep if you want to sleep. The work still happens. What we're doing as trainers, we're still helping you. So you might just be going off into a very deep, restful place within yourself. That's fine. Let it happen. You'll come out of it, and you'll come out of it refreshed and revived and rejuvenated. So don't worry about the fact that you're going to sleep and you're not meditating. At some point, remember that part of the brain does go off in that sleep-like state. We call it absorption. You're absorbed within yourself.
Okay, good.
Well, well, for me, I must say thank you so much, Claudia. This is the first time I'm experiencing something like this. It was one of the most peaceful times in my life that I can remember. Now, can you imagine if I was not driving? I was driving and I almost went into a world where it was me alone in that world. I got home into my community and I'm saying to myself, whoa, I'm here already. You know, it created that kind of vibes within me, you know. So I'm really thankful. I really appreciate what you have done, Claudia. And I'm looking forward to more of this, because let me tell you, in these stressful times, we all need this. Thanks again.
Absolutely.
I hope you weren't driving and meditating.
Well, I was focused. Actually, I was really focused on just being me, trying to get rid of the external forces and just think of spiritual me.
Yeah.
So being present.
Being present, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just being mindful of the time. Can we hear from a few more people? Just unmute and speak.
Okay, this is Frida. We had 4 of us in our group, and we all thought that some of us have meditated before, but not for this long, in different ways. And we felt it was a beautiful blessing. And we also realized that meditating this way, having somebody guiding us, was also very good. I mean, for me, I'm in an office library, and I had never recognized the clock. Having someone guiding you through this was very instrumental for you to get to relax yourself and to slow down your mind, get rid of all of the external noise that was surrounding us. So that's all we even think that to empty our minds and get within your body yourself. And we also found that even practicing this, some of us mentioned that our household, the people in our home, tend to now recognize and respect our meditation time. So it was very good, and we were hoping that we can do this again.
Wonderful. It can be arranged. Where are you?
I'm in Northern California, in Sacramento area, not far from Jim.
Oh, okay. All right. Great. Yeah, we can definitely connect you with support, either here in Florida or out in California. It's an organization that's worldwide, and it's led by volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Catherine is a volunteer trainer. Patrice is a volunteer trainer. Is Patrice still on here? Can she show her beautiful face? You're muted. Introduce yourself. Katrina in Jamaica.
Hi, lovely people, brothers and sisters. It is a pleasure to be connected with you and to meet you. Yes, I am a trainer along with Sister Catherine. And there's a brother here as well, Dermot, who is also a meditation trainer. So I do this work as a volunteer because it has benefited me. I have been doing it for 11 years now. And it is a part of my life. It's a part of my lifestyle. So it is with me. I have changed for better over the course of years that I've been doing it. And the subtle ways in which meditation changes you, it helps you to become a better you. And it helps you to be more loving and compassionate. And I am becoming more and more like my God self, what I believe I'm truly destined to be. I believe we are all here in this experience. So it's like a school to learn and grow and evolve and become better, to be more godlike, to be more like our true selves, our higher selves that is within us, the best of our being. So those are my few words.
Thank you, Patrice.
Yes, it's Bev.
Go ahead, Bev.
Oh, thank you. Claudia, thank you so much. This was awesome. Well done, well presented, and challenging in terms of, asking yourself those questions and answering them honestly, because there are stressors. No matter how much we think that we're not stressed, I think all of us experience that. And I wish I would have known this several years ago when I was really dealing with some tough stuff. But anyway, my group, some of us, like, I have not meditated in this way. There was one member who said she has been doing it for some time, and then another member who hasn't and didn't participate. So we were really a mixed bag. But I think the takeaway from my group is that we really all have ways of dealing with stress. I think it is apparent from the group I was in that everybody has learned in some way or other to acknowledge, to recognize, and to deal with stress. But I like this, and I have my own little method of meditation I was sharing with them, but I like this. And so I too maybe want a little more enlightening about the light, the concept of the light and the application. But on a whole, I think it was really helpful, and I did try. I am a person who has an active mind too, so I'm always rolling. So this will definitely be of benefit to me personally in order to just, bring myself into focusing on just one thing. But I do practice my own type of meditation, and a lot of it is through my faith, and the biblical, it's more spiritual than probably physical, but we need that balance. So awesome job, great session, really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Bev. I know all about that active mind. And I share the sentiment, because when I found it that many years ago, I was like, oh my God, this is really the bomb. It was a lifesaver for me. And we're in a time now, and I think more and more people are open to the idea of including meditation as a form of self-care, and not just any meditation, particularly this style of meditation. I didn't have the time to really go in depth to really talk more about heartfulness. Maybe the next session, being that I see that there's some interest here, to do this again, that will talk more about heartfulness, and so you can learn more about truly this beautiful jewel that we have in our midst, that's obviously free and available for anybody who's interested in using it to refine and to become the better version of yourself. And to be able to live and exist in this stressful world with ease.
Thank you, Claudia.